All right, hi guys, welcome to this video, and this is going to be about personal growth and specifically the misconceptions about personal growth, because we all kind of understand what it is and why we do it, but I feel like there is some misconceptions in the meaning of what it is, and I think we don't really understand how profound it is when you do take part in it. And I think this video is going to just outlay what personal growth is and honestly why it's so hard. Because personal growth, as much as it's all about improvement and all of this, it's really hard. And I think when you first do personal growth, you might think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna improve myself, try make a lot of money, try feel less sad. But when you go deeper into it, you understand that this is not just about those surface level stuff. It goes much deeper and it gets harder. Each time you go deeper, it gets harder. So for the definitions, I'm going to say a lot of different definitions because having one definition does not do justice to what personal growth is. Personal growth is such a big and such a wide topic that it covers so much things and so many domains in our lives that having one specific definition, honestly, it does an injustice to what it is. So I'm going to say a lot of different things, and this will give you a much broader view of what it is, because personal growth is a very big thing, right? So having one definition does not make sense to me. Personal growth is the process of acquiring knowledge and applying it to various domains of your life. This is pretty obvious, right? You acquire knowledge and then you have to apply it, right? Not just learning, you have to learn and apply, and you can do this to various domains of your life. Any domain of your life, whether it's relationships, money, yourself specifically, your health, your mental health, your emotional health, whichever domain you want to improve, you have to acquire knowledge and apply that knowledge. Like this is the essence of what personal growth is. It's not just about yourself and your emotional state and your mental state. It's about any other domain in your life, because every domain in your life is connected to you. And this is personal growth. It's personal. So when you improve yourself, when you improve your personal self, you will improve other domains. And when you improve yourself, you can improve specific parts of yourself to improve specific domains. So in relationships, you can improve your emotional connection to other people, you can improve your communication, different things, and then you will improve in this domain. Because don't forget, everything you want, everything you do in life is connected back to you. It's making yourself feel less bad, making yourself feel good more than bad. I like this one. I really like this one, because making yourself feel good more than bad. I think this is basically what we all want. We want to feel more good than bad whenever we are living. Or I guess whenever we do live. Or you know what I mean. We want to feel more good than bad. And this is why we do personal growth. Essentially, we want to make ourselves feel better. We want to have a better experience on earth. And we want to feel more good every day instead of bad. And this can be done in a lot of different ways to feel more good than bad. But essentially, this is what you should be aiming for. Don't aim to be perfect. Don't aim to feel good all the time or to feel happy all the time. Your aim should be to feel better, to feel good more than you feel bad, to feel those good, content emotions more than you feel depressed, lonely, scared, or anxious. That should be the goal. It makes things much simpler. Because when you do things, when you go on your everyday life, you can just categorize things in terms of, if I do this, will this make me feel good or bad? And if you can identify good or bad, and if you choose good more often than bad, then you will feel good more often than bad. I know it's not this simple, but I'm just saying, in a binary way of good and bad, this can help you a lot in just everyday basic things and basic decisions in your life. Personal growth is growing as a person through learning about yourself, through understanding who you are. This is a big one. Understanding who you are, knowing yourself further in a deeper level. This is big. And this one is, I think this is one of the most hardest aspects of personal growth, is understanding who you are and having a greater, deeper knowledge of yourself. This has to be one of the hardest parts of personal growth because, we are complicated. We are so complicated, and going through this process of understanding yourself deeper takes so much time. It takes energy. It's emotionally taxing. It's mentally taxing. And this is what really people don't like to do. People want to improve their external domains, their external things. But when it comes to the self, this is where people get a bit scared because I don't want to look inside of me. I don't want to see all my flaws, all my mistakes, all the messed upness inside me. I don't want to see that because it's hard. It's hard looking inside of you. It's hard finding all of those little things you don't really like about yourself and acknowledging them. That's hard. And it feels scary because most of us want to feel like we are better than what we actually are. And for us to do this, we have to really ignore all of those flaws, ignore all of those mistakes we do, ignore all of those little things we don't like about ourselves. That happens. And when you try to acknowledge these things, sometimes you just can't do it. Sometimes you aren't strong enough to do it yet. So I can understand why people really shy away from this part. And this is all the emotional and mental stuff, right? People don't like this part. People find this part not necessary or just tedious or just too hard. But if you want to understand yourself further, if you want to have a greater knowledge of yourself, this is literally the part you have to do. Because if you don't do this part, you will always feel a sense of loss, a sense of misunderstanding of yourself, which will cause further issues in the future. So this part is very crucial. And when you think about personal growth, you should always think about the process of understanding yourself further. And the last one is personal growth isn't a part of your life, it is life. Improving yourself will have direct benefit to all other domains in your life because your life experience is through yourself. Personal growth is life. The process of improving yourself will improve your life. When I got into personal growth, I just did it just to feel better and just to try and improve some certain domains in my life. But the more I've done it over the years, the more it's very obvious that personal growth is life. Because you are in the process of improving your experience on earth, and in that process, you are going to improve your life. And we all want this. We all want to improve our lives in some way. We all want to feel better. We all want to live better in some way. And this is what personal growth is. I feel like when you think about personal growth and you think it's only about emotional stuff and mental health stuff, that's like a very tiny part of what it is. It's a very important part, but that's not what it is. It's all of that emotional and mental stuff plus everything else in life. Right? So that's why I said this is a very big topic to me. Like, this is how I classify personal growth, because if you improve yourself and if you improve yourself to a deep level, you will improve in a lot of domains in your life. So this is what personal growth is for me. It is literally life. It's not just a part of your life. It's not just something you can do when you want to or something you can do when you feel very sad. No, it's literally your whole life. And if you do feel sad, and if you do feel insecurities and anxiety, that's just because that domain of your life, you just have not been prioritizing. And if you ignore certain domains and you don't give much priority to these domains, then you will have issues in these domains. So I know a lot of people try to do personal growth and get into personal growth because they are really down bad. Like, they feel very sad or they're very broke. and they turn to personal growth. Well, the thing is, you have always been doing personal growth. The thing is, you just haven't been doing it efficiently and or in a effective way. That's why a lot of people turn to personal growth when they're down bad in certain domains, and then they think, oh, personal growth is just about my emotions. It's because you turn to personal growth when your domain of emotions in your life were really bad. And now you think personal growth is all about emotions. No, it's just because you just did not give that domain a lot of priority. And this goes for everyone actually, because we all think personal growth is about emotions, but it's not. It's just because the world does not prioritize the emotional domain and the mental health domain. So personal growth is looked at as something that is just emotional and just mental. But all the other domains of you trying to get a better career, of you trying to make more money, this is still part of personal growth. The thing is, people always prioritize that they don't think that's part of personal growth, but it is. It is part of it. And anything else in your life is part of personal growth. Friendships, relationships, all of these stuff. And this is a big misconception, that we think personal growth is just about certain things, but it's not. It's about your life. It's about you. It's personal growth. It's about your personal self, and then growing. And this goes into why it's so hard. It's so hard because it's so personal. Nobody else can do this work for you. Yes, you can have your gurus, you can have your help, not helpers, but like you can have your advisors and all these people that can help you. They can give you tips. They can help you by reading their book, doing their course. These things are very helpful. But at the end of the day, if you want to make any significant or meaningful impact on yourself, on your life, you have to do the work. You yourself have to do the work. And this is why it's so hard, because nobody else can do this work for you. And when you do the work and when you see the benefits, then that's just the best feeling, because you did the work and you see the benefits. That's why it's so hard, because it's so personal. People don't have the strength to do this work. They don't have the desire to do this work. They don't have the drive to do this work. So they don't do it. They suffer for not doing this work. And it's hard because we are not stagnant. We keep evolving as humans. The more you grow, the more you change. Well, obviously, if you aren't changing them as you grow, then something is obviously wrong there. But I would say for the average person, the more you grow, the more you change. So when you try to understand yourself, it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, because we don't stay stagnant. We aren't the same person we are 10 years ago. That's just not how we work. We have different beliefs, different likes. We're just different people in general. So that process of understanding yourself just is always going. It's always, you never stop. Yes, you will get to points where you understand yourself to a very deep level, but will you ever fully understand yourself? Maybe not. Because that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of introspection to fully understand yourself. Plus, we also keep changing. So it just carries on. There's no end point to understanding yourself. This is why it's so hard, because that process of understanding yourself repeatedly and just in that process for so long, that's hard. That's difficult. But when you do start and when you do understand yourself to higher and higher levels, it does get easier. It gets easier because you understand yourself more. You know your tendencies. You know your flaws, you know what makes you, I guess, sad and mad. You know all of these things. So it's easier. It gets easier. Definitely. But it just never stops. And that can be frustrating sometimes, because when you think you know yourself to a high level, and then something happens that makes you rethink that, makes you question that, do I really know myself? After all of these years, do I even know myself? You see, things like that can make people go crazy, because when you do this work for so long and you hit those moments of you start to question yourself, that can be scary, because all that work has possibly come to nothing. This can happen because when you encounter different situations, you will find out different things about yourself. When you put yourself in different situations, different environments, different experiences, that's when you will see those different sides of you. And sometimes you might think you know everything about yourself until something very unexpected happens, and then you behave in a way that you've never behaved before. That can happen. So don't get so caught up in feeling like you understand yourself fully, or like don't get caught up in trying to reach the end point of this. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is just to keep understanding yourself as you experience new things, as you go through life. Don't think about the end point, because the end point, honestly, it doesn't matter. The whole point is that you keep understanding yourself, you keep going through this process of self-knowledge, and you will hit those moments where you feel like, damn, do I even know myself? Like, what just happened? That will happen. That's going to happen, because that's just how life is. And again, this is hard because it's time consuming, it's mentally and emotionally taxing. I think the biggest thing is the time. You really have to give time to this work. Like a lot of time to this work, because it's hard. It takes time. Especially when you're trying to improve in certain domains in your life, it takes a lot of time. Like if you want to improve with your relationships, financially, your romantic relationships, your friendships, like each of these domains will take a lot of time. And then you have yourself, trying to understand yourself. That's going to take a lot of time as well. So you really have to give time to this work. That's the only way you get better. And it's important that if you're giving a certain domain a lot of time for the next 5 years, make sure those other domains you haven't give time to in those 5 years, make sure you give those domains some love later on. Because if you don't give certain domains love, then you will end up being very down and very subpar in those domains. So make sure you really keep in check each domain. And I can understand if you want to prioritize certain domains right now for the next 5 years or so, that makes sense. But don't forget about the other domains, because if you don't improve them, then they will end up hindering your overall life and make you feel bad. And that's what we don't want. So just make sure you give time to personal growth. Whichever domain, just make sure you do it, because that's the biggest thing. If you don't give time, you will not get any results. Emotionally and mentally taxing. Emotionally, I would say mostly when you do introspection with yourself, that can be very emotional. Kind of when you go through all your traumas and insecurities, that can be very emotional and takes a lot of time as well. And mentally taxing, I mean, this just goes for anything, right? Like any domain you're trying to improve on, this will be mentally taxing. It will take a lot of energy. And that's just how it is. So it is important to recharge, like get enough sleep, your health, your diet. These things are important for you to have energy to continue improving your life. Another big one is ourselves. We are our biggest enemy. We have an ego which is very manipulative and will try and make us do things that aren't going to benefit us in the long term. And we have to watch out for this. And with the ego comes all the self-deceptive mechanisms we use every day. Like there's so many of these things, and these things really hinder us every day. And it's very important to be aware of these self-deceptions, because if you're not aware of them, they will take a big control in your life. I'm just gonna name a few. You have pet theories, assumptions, emotions, projection, thinking you have everything figured out, the unwillingness to admit I don't know, arguing and debating your cultural and traditional preferences, and your childhood imprinting and indoctrination. That's not even close to half of how many self-deception mechanisms that we use every day. If I am my biggest enemy, how do I stop myself from being my enemy? Like, that's such a hard question because it requires a lot of introspection. Like, it requires a lot of you looking at yourself, figuring out why you behave in certain ways, finding out what is hindering you from doing certain things. And in that process, you will figure out, oh, okay, I'm self-deceiving myself because I still have beliefs put on me from my parents and from my environment that are not benefiting me, for example. To find these mechanisms, you have to really dig deep inside yourself and figure out how are they being used in my everyday life. And the only way to do that is by literally just by understanding yourself more and really digging deep into who you are. And the last one for why this is so hard is that it's hard to admit you are fucked up. Guys, we are not special. We are not perfect. We have flaws, like just natural human flaws. And you should just know this. We are messed up. We are messed up. And if you can just acknowledge this and embrace this, personal growth will be so much easier because essentially we all have to do it because we are all messed up. And if you don't think you're messed up, then that's a big issue because that means you're very messed up if you don't think you're messed up. So it's important to understand this, right? Like personal growth, as it's life, and life is not linear. Life is not perfect. Life is not supposed to be perfect, but you can make life easier. You can make life better. And if you want to do this, you have to admit that you are fucked up and you don't know a lot of things and you just need to improve yourself. But of course, that is easier said than done. So moving on to why are we bad at personal growth? Why are humans just bad at life? Essentially. This is very simple, honestly. Like when you look at the human existence, most of our existence has been hard, very difficult. It's been all about survival. Trying to get enough food for your family, trying not to die from a random disease, or from a random person, or from an animal, or from a king, or queen, or a dictator. This has been most of life, right? Just trying to survive. I would say the last 20 to 30 years, we've seen crazy improvement in terms of basic needs being met in, I guess you could say, in more developed countries. Less violence, not everywhere, but like overall less violence. Like there hasn't been a world war in the last 30 years, so that's good. Most people have their basic needs met, so now we can think about other things, and humans are silly. Now we think about stupid stuff like Instagram and TikTok, all this dumb stuff, because we are not in survival mode anymore. We're past that now. Well, not everyone on earth, but in developed countries, they are past that. Yes, you still have countries where not as developed and a lot of people still suffering from starvation and diseases and all these things. And just looking like 100 years ago, like this was crazy. People didn't have the ease of just thinking about emotions and mental health and making a lot of money. That wasn't really a thing, right? Like just trying to survive, being a farmer, or even when the industrial revolution happened, just working in a factory. Like this is just basic income, basic money. Obviously now the world has developed and we can make a lot of money now. We can do things online or just in the corporate world. You can earn a lot of money do these things. Just life is much in general easier. Now I'm saying in general because of course some parts of the world it's not easy, but I'm just saying in general. And now personal growth is more possible. Now you can think about, okay, how can I become a better person? Now you can think about this stuff. How can I feel better on a day-to-day basis? Now we have the luxury to think about these things. Personal growth is, we're so lucky to be able to do this work. We are so lucky because still a lot of people in the world can't do this. They don't have the luxury to think about being a better person, solving emotional and mental issues. People still don't have this luxury. So if you're watching this video and you are able to do this, then why aren't you doing it? Because essentially it's going to make your life better. Like, your life is probably already pretty good. Your basic needs are met. You don't have to worry about survival and on a day-to-day basis. And this is why we are bad at personal growth, because it's still settling into society. I think the last 5 to 10 years, it has really increased in mainstream popularity, but it's still not really a norm, you could say. And personal growth has been around forever, like since Stoicism. Even religion has essence of personal growth. It's been here for a long time. It's always been here, just not widely spread. With technology, it can be widely spread, and it has been spreading a lot in the past few years. And people are getting better at it. People are realizing that this work is very important because it just makes life better for an individual. And this also goes into another reason why we are bad at personal growth. And that's because our school system, or the school system, is very shit. It's very bad. And when I say school system, I mean American and I guess the Western school system is very bad. Personal growth isn't something that's talked about in these systems. It's not important, which makes complete sense because remember, the school system was built literally to make average workers to work in factories. The school system was not made to improve people, to make you a better person. This was not the aim of the school system. The school system nowadays has evolved in terms of content to be more, of course, to be more modern, but the fundamental essence of the school system is still the same as it was in the 1900s. Using grades to compare students, using grades to be a marker of intelligence. Like, that's the fundamental stuff used literally 100 years ago. School system is not made to make people better people, to make us improve as human beings, to make us understand ourselves better, to make us understand life in a deeper level. That's not what the school does. That's not what school is for. And this is very important to understand, that you should never ever depend on the school system to make you a good person, to make you a good functioning human being. Please don't think that, because you will be very disappointed. And obviously school, it plays a major role in all of us. Like, we spend 16 to 18 years in school. That's crazy. And we all know in your childhood, that's when anything can be imprinted in your mind. We all get indoctrinated in childhood. And it's just unfortunate we get indoctrinated with such dumb things sometimes. It's such things that don't have any long-term beneficial aspects for us. It's very unfortunate. And the school system, of course, doesn't prioritize personal growth. So we almost end up learning not to really care about ourselves, not to really understand ourselves on a deeper level. We don't learn this. We almost end up neglecting ourselves just because we just never knew it was important to take ourselves seriously. The school system really pushes external success, and specifically in the domain of money and having a good job. In that domain, it does help. It's not perfect, but it does help in that domain. But that's about it. So personal growth has to be something you take on independently. It has to be something you really have to work on independently. Obviously, you can do this through watching videos and all these things, but you just have to understand that you have to do this work. You have to take initiative. You have to be accountable for this work, because I would say the moral of this video is just to understand personal growth is life. It's not just one certain domain of life. It is everything, because your experience of life is flowing through you. So when you seek to improve yourself, you will improve other domains. And when you improve yourself in specific areas to improve specific domains, then of course that's going to help you. And this is the big misconception. People don't understand that personal growth is life. It's not separate from life. It's not just a different thing from life. It's not just something that we can do when we want. No, we are always doing personal growth. We are always doing it. Now, you might not be doing it properly or effectively. And if you're not doing it properly, then yeah, that's where you have major issues in certain domains. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for listening. And I mean, this is my first video. So if I'm looking like in different places, it's just because I'm just not used to talking to a camera like this. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one.